Hi, I'm Jamie.
I'm Jen.
Welcome to our podcast, All Things Unbroken.
Life breaks us in ways we never expect, but God rebuilds us in ways we could never imagine.
So come hang with us as we talk about relationships, motherhood, wellness, grief, recovery,
And the slow, beautiful process of becoming unbroken.
Hi, cousin.
Hello, baby cousin.
Good morning. Is it
Good
morning?
morning. It is
It is.
morning.
Okay.
I got
How's
my
it going?
tea. It's good. It's good.
Me too.
We're figuring out the whole doing a recording when our families are home and kids. And so
Mm-hmm.
this is a new era for us where it's like, hey, you can be still for 45 minutes while mom is busy. And so this is kind of my first summer to do that. And so I'm learning
Yeah.
that and we'll see how it goes today. Set a
Yeah.
timer. Same for you, but yours are older. So I'm like you coached me in that. So thank you.
Oh,
Um, the happy,
yeah.
yeah, we're full on into June and we're
To
going.
June.
So yeah.
We're doing these more, the last few have been more in real time. Like we
Mhm.
record and then drop them like 2 days later. So
I love it.
when this comes out, it will only be really 2 days after we recorded it.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Well,
How are you?
yesterday
Yeah. Oh yeah.
was
Oh
June
yeah.
7th.
So yesterday, I sent Jamie, I had my time hop memories that pop up. Like it's an app, I think, or whatever. And 1 year ago, yesterday was the first time like I was in Oklahoma and Jamie and I connected. It was the first time that you met my daughter and our children met each other. It was 1 year ago yesterday. And that's even before we even thought about this podcast, thought about doing
Hmm.
anything. And that was the first time we really sat and had a conversation and probably what, since Nanny's funeral, which was like, what, 8 years ago?
Yeah. And I don't even know if we really,
We didn't really talk then,
it
but
was
we were
probably just like
together.
surface. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been over a decade.
Yeah.
So that was our first time. So
If
happy.
people knew like what a big answer to prayer that was, like
I
I
think that
can't even put it into words. It's so
I think
good. Like God,
you've expressed that because you, for both of us, and then
yeah,
we've talked about like, and it all kind of happened after I lost my parents, which were your aunt and
yeah.
uncle. It kind of, that's when
All the things we've been talking about.
yeah, that's whenever the space and the distance and things
Yeah.
start happening. And also, yes, it was so a few anniversary dates or date. Yesterday was the official um due date as far as like when she would have been born, because I would have had the C-section for complications and stuff, would have actually been also June 7th, because another
Mm,
time hop came up and was like, oh, this is her official due date. And as we know from the last episode, like she came early, all the things happened with the camper, and what a blessing.
yeah.
And also, yesterday was the official, I put in quotations, whenever our youngest daughter was, her due date was. Now, she actually would
Yeah.
have been born a week or two early, also due to, plan things, which as we all know, and as Jamie knows, nothing, obviously plans have changed a lot in both of our lives. So sometimes around dates over the last several years, even like through my parents, but specifically over some of the losses, like, the birth date, the due date, the things can make
Mm,
me sad. But one thing I noticed, yesterday was I was more thoughtful of it. I was more like, oh, like, yes, these happen, like kind of remembering, my oldest daughter. And like, I remember a video came up and it was like, oh, this is your due date, but you came early and surprised us. Like,
mm,
aren't God's plans bigger than ours? And reminding me how, blessed we were. But also saying like, imagining her name would have been, is Lily, if she would have waited a little bit longer, imagining her and how also with her death, how that also like kind of unbroke me to like move through this last, year and a half and reconnect with family and start seeing like the things that I needed to heal more and to reach out, and also brought us together. And like
yeah.
when in essence move forward another year, we started this podcast back in, I think it was December of 25. And sharing our story a little bit, sharing, my testimony up until this time. And it just become unbroken, which hence our name, the name of the podcast, like all things unbroken, because really with her death, I really do feel that God also used that to unbreak me and also show me that I could get through really like hard things. And even though my prayers weren't answered and she's not with us and the other babies aren't with us, like I can be okay through him.
Yeah.
So so it was a reflection day. It was
Wow.
a reflection. And
It's kind
yeah.
of amazing. I mean, two things. You have both like grief and life. Again, like you had similar in other
Mm,
parts of your stories, like grief and life in the same space. And I feel like it's just real life that people realize sometimes we have to hold it that way. And to be able to do that, like, I think that's amazing. And then also the timing, again, like God's perfect timing. We didn't set this up to record it or any certain day or time or whatever, but like it's just like things keep happening with your story coinciding with what we're talking about and what's going on in the year and everything else. So I think that's kind of like perfect segue into pick us up to tell us about.
yeah, I think we left off where we had my oldest daughter and we had moved in to the barn dominium. And then I kind of joked like, oh, I wanted to go back to the camper because it was cleaner, right?
Yeah.
And so we
Or
can kind of
smaller,
just,
like
yeah, it
less
was cleaner.
maintenance.
It was smaller. That's what I should say because, it wasn't cleaner, but when you move in, there's dust. So we're
Yeah.
here in this, I'm looking around and we're here it's a 1 bedroom barn dominium that, of course, before, a year before this, we didn't expect her, yada, yada. We were going to build a house, all the things, but here, 1 bedroom barn dough, both working from home. I was obviously not working I took 3 full months home. We had her in a nook. We're here. We had kind of decided, before her even, like, are we going to try again, whatnot? And so, like, like we kind of both talked about it and we're prayed about it. And we're like, hey, okay, here's what we're going to do. After she turns a year, we'll try. If not, that's fine. We're fine with it because it took us just all the complications, even getting pregnant with her and
Yeah.
having her and things. I was not expecting anything. Anyways, so after, her year, we got pregnant pretty fast. So like we had a, 12-month old and 13-month old and we're like, oh, it was very fast. So here we were in our little space and I had gone back to work remotely full time. So I was working remote with a, 3, 4 month old, doing the schedule, doing the things. I was very blessed with the job I had. I was blessed with what good sleeper she was. Like it was good. We had a thing going, but also we're planning for this other baby. So things are going along. Things are going well. I went to the
Yeah.
specialist. Again, I'm really geriatric now. I'm like, 39. and I'm
Wait a
joking. If
minute.
anyone's yeah, I'm joking. I'm just saying for them. So anyway,
I
but it's
know
one
they
of those
call it that.
things. Yeah, you go to the doctor. So I was doing all the things like I had done with my first daughter. So going, doing it every other month, da da da. Um, my dog. Hi. One of my dogs. So everything's normal. Like I'm working full time. My husband's working full time remote. I have this baby who's like, 13, 14 months, whatever. Going through pregnancy, go through my first trimester beautifully, find out it's a little girl. Her name, we
Hmm.
named her, we went ahead and named her. Madison was going to be her name. She was going to be due the next spring. Sorry.
He's trying to get
Um,
in there.
that's one of our rescues, little Roxy.
Oh. Oh.
Anyways, so I'll, so we were moving along. So everything was normal. It's a typical, like, are we going to build? Are we going to add on? So we kind of just drawn up plans like, okay, with the market and everything, we were just going to add on to the barn door, a couple of rooms, no big deal.
Yeah.
Go along through pregnancy and really everything was fine. And it's like I got really sick that fall, like after my first trimester, I got really sick. I remember I had like the flu or something, and I didn't really take
Mm.
anything because you're worried about like the baby, whatever. Um, I'll just go ahead and fast forward a little bit. October of 2022, when my daughter was about 17 months old, um, I woke up in the middle of the night and something was wrong.
Mm.
And again, once again, we're out where we are. Um, I
About how
was
far of a drive is it from
an
to a
hour. It's the same.
hospital?
It's the
Okay.
same. So we're going to the same place because that's our hospital. So an
Okay.
hour.
It's
But
about an hour drive.
I was I was almost 19 weeks. And oh, this is where it was. I skipped something. So it was October. I actually, what's kind of interesting, my husband, I had gone home to see my family in Oklahoma with my daughter. And this was in October,
Mm.
it was right before Halloween, the week before Halloween. And when I was there, I got really sick,
Mm.
like really sick, like cramping, all the things. But I didn't know what was wrong. I thought I ate some bad pizza. And I was staying with my niece at the time. She had an apartment and my daughter was little. And I remember when I got there, like she had to like literally like help me up to the room and like do all these things. Like it was pretty bad. And I remember
Mm.
I was cramping so bad. I was like throwing up a little bit, but I thought I had food poisoning. Well, the next morning, I remember being on the phone with my husband. He's like, "Hey, how do you feel?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm good. I felt the baby kick." So I felt her kick. So I was like, "We're
Oh.
fine. Like, we're fine." It was okay. I actually I went to my mom's grave. And that was the first time I ever took my daughter to see my mom's grave in Oklahoma. So I actually have a picture of her putting flowers on her
Mm.
grave. 7 days later, I'm home and I went to bed and I woke up and I was bleeding.
Oh no.
And so that's where that was. And that was the morning of Halloween. And
Mm.
surprisingly enough, my in-laws are amazing. They were actually in town that week, which is so they live, in Corpus. They were actually in town that week.
Oh.
Because you have to remember, I've said it a couple times. We do have family, but our family is like an hour away, whatever. So it's my husband and I have this little unit. We don't really have we didn't at the time have a lot of close friends around where we were. So we happened to like call them. They met us at the hospital and we drove into the hospital. And I knew on the way in, like I knew that the baby
Mm.
was like gone. And on the way to the hospital, I have a little baby, like 17-month-old, and she's in the back and she's going, uh-oh, uh-oh. So we get to the hospital. My in-laws were there
Oh.
meeting us. It's still kind of, so this is 2022, so it's not, they're still a little strict with some things with COVID, but not as, bad. So they
Yeah.
actually took my daughter to my husband's grandma's at the time he was living here, and they went and took her, and they came back out here, took care of the dogs and everything, and we went in. And at first they wouldn't let him in. I remember seeing the ultrasound and like seeing her, and she wasn't moving as a full baby. And um I didn't know, this is the time, and I'm going to pause here because I say that all the time. This is the time I didn't know the difference of like an early miscarriage, a late miscarriage, and I will just say like what unfolded next was shocking to me because the doctor came in and he was like, "Hey," he was like, "You've lost her." And I'm like, "Okay." So
Mm.
I was thinking like kind of like, okay, like DNC. Like I didn't know, I knew she was a baby, but in my head, I just didn't realize he's like, "No, like we're taking you to labor and delivery."
Yeah.
So to those words, to even to this day, like, are like, what? So they took me up
Mm.
to labor and delivery. And which is that's just kind of horrible to a mom who is going to labor and delivery and there's people around there having babies, and then you know that you're going up there and you're about to deliver a baby that's not breathing. I didn't know I was going to get emotional. Um,
It's okay.
but yeah, so we went and I kind of joke sometimes. It's like I got to, I wasn't supposed to ever technically deliver a baby, but I did. I got epidural and they went ahead and like helped me induce labor.
Yeah.
Please stop and talk
Did
to
you
my
have
dog.
to wait? Do they have you like
So
induce and then you have to wait? I feel
I
like
could
mentally
have,
that could be agonizing.
so I could have, luckily with what we did, everything happened pretty quickly.
Okay.
And the nurses were phenomenal. And I've told this story in some other ones. We actually talked about some stuff. The nurses were phenomenal. And
Every story that you've shared, you're like, the medical people were like, you
they
always
were
seem to connect
amazing.
with the helpers. And I really want to point that out because I
They
love that.
they are like I'm sitting here, and here's my thing. This is where my faith came in. And this is like, it's a God thing because, and I even looked at one of the nurses, they were all checking on me. At one point, one of the nurses went to my husband and was like, hey, we can, like, we need you to watch her because she's, I'm me. I'm like making sure they're okay. Like there was one of the little nurses, she wasn't little. She had just, this was her first delivery. She used to be like an ICU. She was newly engaged. I remember her, she had blonde hair. This was her first delivery and it was this, like,
Yeah.
this was going to be her first delivery. Um,
Mm.
so, anyways, I don't need to go into too many details. Basically, with the late miscarriage, where we were, when you're halfway through, you go through delivery and you deliver a child that's not breathing, and they have all their fingers, all their toes, eyes are closed, all the things. Um, I just remember holding my husband's hand and looking at him and being like, I'm, sorry. Like, and he's telling me what a good job I'm doing. Like, you're in labor. And he's like, okay, like you have to push it, do all the things. And like, him saying like, "Oh, you're doing so good," and I'm like in my head, I'm like, "I'm delivering a dead baby." Like, am I? Sorry, that got little, but I
Don't
will say,
apologize. This is,
but it's just reality, and I didn't know
yeah.
that until then. I didn't know what that was, and I've known people
Yeah.
that had miscarriages, and I know people that had late miscarriages, and I'm just like, it's mortifying. It's not fun, but at the same time, God was in that room because I remember looking at them, and they knew we were Christians. And I looked at them and I go, I don't know how people that don't have faith, I don't know how they do this.
Yeah.
Because my hope is always like with even my parents, like I'm going to see them again one day.
Yeah.
And even with this baby, like I'm going to see her one day. And I'm also kind of in shock because this is not reality. Like this doesn't happen. Like we were halfway through our pregnancy, halfway through, heartbeat, full baby, had everything. If she would have waited, just a few more weeks, like I could have saved her. So you play that. And so we went through the process, and I could have stayed a night in the hospital, but we didn't want to. I wanted to go home. And it was Halloween. And I remember being willed out and like having these conversations because I got this little girl's story. Like, I don't even know she was she just gotten engaged, starting this new life and
Mm.
like talking to them. And I feel like, that's just what we do. That's what I do, at least. I just make sure everybody's okay. And they were wonderful with me. They made sure I was good. They like had as much time with the baby, holding. They took pictures of the baby, the things. And I will say,
Mm.
as we were willed out, I gave them a hug. I gave this little girl a hug. I just remember her face. And I said, thank you so much for everything. And she gave me a hug and she whispered, she's like, thank you for being a light. She's like, you were a light today. And
Golly, Dan. Sorry.
and
Uh,
I got in the truck, you know, and a couple things. When you lose things, you become a little morbid, maybe. So one of the things was like, well, we had a baby. Like I delivered a baby. Like that wasn't supposed to happen. So that was one thing we were talking about.
yeah.
I was nervous. My daughter was young. She was 17 months old. So she didn't really know. Like, we started reading the books, but she didn't know. So that was, we're kind of talking about that. And I told Alex, I remember looking at him after she had told me that, after kind of chatting. And I looked at him like, I've been through some things in life, and as we kind of talked about, they haven't always been pleasant. I haven't always handled them well, and this is our first big thing that we went through together. And I didn't know
Yeah.
what to expect. I didn't know what was coming. I do remember the nurses taking me and him saying, "You guys will grieve differently." I still remember that very
Mm.
well because also things happened after. I try to go back to that, remember that, we're not understanding. But anyway, I said to him, I go, as a Christian, like I could die tomorrow and be like okay because one, like I haven't lived my life beautifully, I've been perfect, but like as a Christian, for someone to say like you're a light, and that was like my hell. Like I delivered a child not breathing and went through that. I was like, I looked at him in this moment, not a lot of times in this moment, but I looked at him, I was like that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
That moment. Now, since that moment, I have not had it beautifully, and I have not been always nice, and I have not felt like a light, and I've probably been bitter and mean to people. But in that moment, I looked at my husband and I said, this is as a Christian person, whatever situation we're in, that's what Jesus called us to do, is in my hell to be a light for other people, that whether they know Jesus or not. Now,
Yeah.
and that since then I've tried to take myself back to then to remember those moments, because obviously we're about to go into the next few moments in life, and we to tell what happens since that moment we lost that one. But that was my first art. This was our first biggest thing that we've had to hold on to together, which can
Yeah.
tie it back into like even we had our oldest daughter, because we all also thought we lost her, but that was our miracle that we got her, right?
Yeah. Well, I think it's beautiful that you pointed out too. It's not like living your life as a Christian doesn't mean rainbows and butterflies, It's not about that. It's about having the same very real life experiences, but you go through them differently and you come out of them differently.
Yeah. And it was, yes, thank you. You're right. And we say that. And I think part of the reason, even like with this podcast that we talk about becoming unbroken, like it's not always beautiful, because some of the stuff that I'll
No.
share that we can talk about in the next few seasons were ugly because so we get home to this back to reality. My in-laws were wonderful, and I'm home. Basically, I mean, I just had a baby. I was started postpartum stuff
Yeah.
and with no baby. And I remember we got home and they went on, and then I had my daughter, and I have pictures like I held her and my animals and all the things. And I was resting, and you have these things like you can't lift anything. The same thing as if you literally had a baby, to the fact of like this will be TMI, the fact of like your body goes through all the things as if you just had a baby. Like we're like your breast milk comes in, all the things
No.
are
Okay.
happening. You're doing, your levels are straightening out. Like it was, and I didn't expect any of that. So that was very like, what,
Oh.
like, but I tried to be strong and I tried to do the things. And I will say was a really hard season, because then I went back to work like a week later, which I could have taken longer. I went back to work a
Mm,
week later. So I literally jumped back into work. I started after a few weeks, if your body's healed. And so it's a little bit less of time, like than a 6 week time, maybe after a month, started working
yeah.
out again, started training for my races again, started doing the things. We let Hadley know. She didn't understand. We had the burial. We brought the baby home. We had just me, my husband, and Hadley, like buried her. I'll tell you, during that season too, it was kind of interesting. It was in November, whenever we did it. And my mom like loved ladybugs. We'll do after we had like done buried her and like put flowers, like a ladybug came in November and landed on my hand. So I was giving little winks of like, okay,
Wow.
okay. And at this
Yeah.
point too, like, you know, I was however old I was, it was 22. So I was 39, almost 40. I was like, okay, like we're just gonna like not like we were okay with just having going through this. Like you don't necessarily want to think about having more kids. And I knew I was older, right? So I started training for my races. I started doing my thing. We book a couple states. So um, that January, we didn't have our camper anymore. But after we did this, we got another camper that January of the same year. So we're 3 months later after we lost Madison. We take our dogs, we get in the camper. I booked two states, South Carolina, North Carolina. We take our, 19-month-old and we take off. And we're going to go both working remote with a 19-month-old, because this is like, let's go just go run some races. Because again, after I got
Yeah.
pregnant again, I had to stop running, right? Because of the complications of the hemorrhaging. I just know anytime I got pregnant, I couldn't run anymore. It's what I did. So
Yeah.
we go to go to South Carolina, stay there in our camper. Great time. I was very emotional, which again, it only been 3 months after. So I'm like, okay. Um, Running my races, got that state, then I forget what state it is. Drive over to North Carolina, get parked, whatever. Like something in my body is like something's going on. And I was like, no
Mm.
way. There's no way. I go, Alex, you have to go get a pregnancy test. And he's like, what? And I'm like something like, because after you've been pregnant a couple
While you
times,
were on the road in the
why was
camper?
I, after I was on the road, after I'd run one half marathon, I'd already run, I don't forget what state it was. I forget. And I was going to do another one that same week, but it was like a vacation. And you've had babies, like after you've had one, your body.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, long story short, take a pregnancy test in North Carolina mountains. I am pregnant.
And this was 3 months
Three
after?
months.
Oh my gosh.
Totally shocked. Totally shocked. Like not expecting it, not the
Yeah.
things. Okay. So I decide not to run that second race, because I decided not to run that second one, because I was just like, I called my doctor's office, and by that, this doctor's office and this hospital, they're like, watching me go through and like, we're like,
And
whatever. I was not expecting it. It was funny because I called the nurse who's my nurse, and I was like, so like, I'm pregnant. I've taken 3 tests. I'm in this mountain in North Carolina. And she's like, okay. And I'm like, I don't know how this happened. And she goes, I'm like, I know how it happened. I'm like, I don't know. So, and this is like the rainbow after the storm because we were not trying, we were not expecting. I was literally running half marathons trying to get back into that
Yeah.
shape, right? So I get back from the race and they immediately get me in because again, I'm older, they know my complications. I go in, and this is also, 2.5 months after we buried Madison. Like it was just like
Mm.
the things.
Did it feel
Um,
kind of like a roller
yeah,
coaster
but we were also like, thank you. Like we were also like
thing?
my
Yeah.
attitude with Madison. I remember when I found out, like I was obviously excited, but I was also like, dang it. Like I didn't think it would be that fast, like, oh, like it was fast. So, it was that whole thing. This
Yeah.
time I'm like, this is a blessing from God. Like this is
Yeah.
our rainbow after the storm. Like I got my hopes, like we're okay. So then that happens. And we went to the doctor, found out pretty quick that the baby never, like I never heard a heartbeat, the things. And we found out pretty quick we were gonna lose that baby. And so I will say
Mm.
this is the one that broke me. Even after Matt's like this broke me. And it was when this
Mm.
happened that my husband and I started having some trouble in communicating. I, you know, it was just not a pretty time in our lives. I don't know if a lot of people, I went into a pretty big depression. I don't even think half my close friends knew because I mask it, but um, I probably started drinking a little too much, I wasn't eating very much. So when I get depressed, like I don't eat. That's like one thing I don't know why. I don't feed myself, whatever.
Just no appetite.
Yeah. I did go back to, work pretty quick after this one. But this one was hard. Like it was an early miscarriage. I think I was about 9 weeks, but I remember, I mean, we went through it, we did it. I was seeing my therapist. It was a very long season. So that was 2023. So had my first daughter, May 21, lost Madison October 22, had an early miscarriage, February 23. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, so that's a
No.
whole bunch of stuff. And I didn't deal with it very well. No one really knew. I started training for races again. My husband and I went through a part where we weren't communicating well. It was just like I mean, you hit those walls, you can't communicate. And then I kept remembering what she said, you grieve differently, you do the things. It was probably that 23 to 24 year was really tough to the point where he went out and he found us a therapist, couple therapist, because he was like, I'm not doing this. Like, we're not doing this. Like,
Yeah.
and it was hard. Like that was like one of the darkest times of our marriage. And sometimes I look at my daughter and I thank God that she is as okay as I mean, she's fine. She's always been who she is, but she was just like, it was just hard. I mean, you can ask me questions. I don't know. We can pause. We're almost down to the end of it, but that
No,
was
I
a
think
tough
that
time.
makes sense because she would have been
She was like almost two. She
almost
was like,
two.
so we lost
Yeah.
17 months, we lost them. Then we lost the other one at 19
Yeah.
months. I'm working full time at home with her, by the way,
Yeah.
because I'm one of those people. I think I mentioned it before. I'm like, I'm doing it all. Like I have my job. I have my career. In
Yeah.
fact, I started focusing so much on my thing was basically my career and her out here. I kind of started retreating. Some of my friends like would come see me, like my city friends, my girlfriends, and my Oklahoma friends, I call them, and they
Yeah.
kind of knew, so they kind of pop in and like see. They knew I struggled, and they got pretty worried about me for a little bit. I think they were
Yeah.
texting my husband. And then I don't know if anybody knew. I mean, he was just wanting me to be okay. But again, anyone listening
Yeah.
that's been through this, men and women handle it differently. And that's when I started to kind of fight the bitterness. Like I started becoming bitter, started doing the things. I never really talked
Yeah.
about it. Thank God I was still going to therapy every week. I was trying to listen to my podcast in church. I was doing my work. But on the inside, like I started to become more offended by things, all whatever. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, but we
You
worked
were
through that.
carrying, yeah, you were carrying a lot. He was probably carrying a lot. I don't know if he's like this, but I think a lot of times men don't want to burden us with stuff if they see we're going through something. So he needed, like you said, he went out and found somebody. But then also, your baby is almost two. And even though she doesn't understand, she's probably feeling the energy in the
She
house,
does. She does. And I really
And
tried with her, like to show my, and luckily, I will say through all this, luckily I've had enough therapy and books and church and things to know, and with it being part of NAMI North Texas, doing the resources, doing the
Yeah.
races, being around enough mental health that I knew enough to be able to like communicate and talk it through with her. Like, so she
Yeah.
didn't see a lot of what him and I went through. I didn't let
That's
her.
good.
She would see me sad, and she would like see me sad. Sometimes I was fine with that and I would
Yeah.
communicate that with her, but we really shielded her. Not that all the time, but we really did shield her. But when we had an issue, we're going to go outside over there. And when she's in bed, like we fought for it.
Wow.
We fought for our marriage a lot during that year. And thank God
Yeah.
for a therapist. We got a Christian therapist that was about our way, and we got through it. And I will say, so that was in February. A few months later, I had the most amazing job, the most amazing mentor and boss, because I'd been at my job for a while. And at this time, I needed a break. I knew I needed a break from work. Well, I'll pause there because after I found out I was expecting, like, months before, I'd started looking for a part-time program for my daughter, because I also
Mm,
knew what I knew, a year before. I was like, or 6 months before, I was like, I'm not going to be able to have two babies, two and under, and work full time. So I started reaching out to different places all over.
okay.
Okay. So that had been happening. I'd found this one place that was 15 minutes away, but it was very hard to get into and they didn't have any openings. So I would call them every single month. They'd be like, call me once a month to remind me. So I'm who I am and I did it. And every time I called, I got to know them very well, but they never had openings. Just remember that. Okay. So I started doing that when I found out I was pregnant with Madison, and my daughter was, 17, 16 months old, a year old. Um, well, fast forward that spring after I lost the early miscarriage, I was having a very hard time mentally, emotionally. Like, I knew I was about to bust. I had students, I had the things. So I got with my boss, and she got me to where I could take a month off, 3 weeks paid. 1 week would be like, if I needed it, I could do like whatever. There's a whole disability thing you can do. And that was in April. That was 3 months after I lost the early one, the one that I said broke me, right? The one that I said I had a hard time with. The same day that she figured that out, because I finally reached out, I was like, I am not doing okay. I feel like my marriage isn't doing okay. Like, I need a break. She figured it out. She's like, we're gonna do this. She went through all the paperwork. She got me to HR. Like, okay, starting
Wow.
April 1st or whatever that date is, you're gonna get 1 month off. You get this many weeks paid. If you need the fourth week, that's fine. Whatever. That same day, this program literally 2 hours later called me, said, "Hey, we have a spot for your daughter that you can start anytime,
Wow.
part time." And I was like, it was just okay.
Perfect.
And so I said, this is so cool. Like, so I didn't need her necessarily to go, but I had, for the first almost 2 years of her life, like I never had where I didn't work and have her at home. So I got
Yeah.
this opportunity to be with her at home with me for 3 weeks and not work at
Yeah.
all. And I can't remember. I did start taking her, and we took her right before her second birthday part time. We started taking her, but then I got a
Yeah.
week before I went back to work. I got a week before I went back to work where like she went to in a few days or whatever. And I got to just mentally like just do whatever, like not have, and that was like such a
Yeah.
God thing.
You got to take time for yourself to like
Yeah.
process
And I wish
through
I could,
things or
or I went to therapy every single week. I went to my therapist. I read my books. I got to, I looking back, it wasn't as beautiful like where I got to like journal and I healed and da da da. It wasn't as beautiful as that, but I did it during these times
yeah.
too. I remember I had people sending me books and things, and there was one you actually sent it to me with this last loss. It was held.
Yeah.
It's a devotional for like child loss, and it really I did it twice, and it really helped me. Brought me the verses like what you we talked about it on a podcast of what you seek, what you hold on to, like that's what you
Hmm.
seek. And even though I was hurting and I was in this pain, like I was still seeking that, right? So that
Yeah.
was that. So daughter's part time. I'm over here doing my thing. Start going back to work. Start healing. That's 2024. Do you want to go ahead and finish it, or do we want to pause there?
Let's wrap that one up for today and
Okay.
then we can do one more and share the
Okay.
rest of that journey and
So that was 2024. And so yeah, I went back to work full time. My daughter's in a part-time program. We're both, remote. We're kind of done. We are done. We're like, this is our little family. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Looking back over that time period, again, even though it was a roller coaster, I can see where God once again places people in my life, friends, family, therapists, Christian therapists to kind of hold us up. My husband and I, this foundation for what has been built over this last year and a half really came from the struggle there and us looking in the mirror and almost losing at some points like everything we had. And that was beautiful, but also awful, which I'm just going to be honest. We can even, whenever we wrap up, kind of talk about that because I do think that so many times we share testimonies and like what we have, like, oh my gosh, I have this job or I have these things, and we forget the
Yeah.
messy middle. And sometimes that messy middle is what gets us to where we are. And then we also have to remember, even though you get up here or whatever, life is a roller coaster. And what I've learned over almost 43 years, which is coming up, that's what it is. It's a roller coaster, and it's not about the ride up or down. It's about what you hold on to when you're down in the pits is what's going to get you through.
Yeah. Amen. Well
Okay.
said. Very well said. I love you. Thank
I love you
you,
too.
as always, for sharing all of that because I know it's not easy.
I didn't realize I was going to get emotional. Also, thank you for doing this because I think some of the stuff I'm sharing, I've shared it, but it's like it's healing in a way to like talk through it with you to remember, and then also remind myself.
Oh,
And you remind me so many times on here, like don't talk to yourself like that. And even though I've had the therapy and stuff, obviously I'm human too, and it's easy to go back.
yeah.
And say, you're awesome. Thank you.
We
And I'm
we
so
need
glad we
each other.
reconnected. We
I
reconnected.
know.
Like happy 1 year reconnection anniversary.
I know. I love it. And look at us now. Like I think we've spoken like every day since that almost.
Almost, unless we're like, or we just text, hey, how are you or something.
I know.
I
I
love
love
you.
it. I love you.
Enjoy your summer. I'm gonna go spend activity day. We've done so many crafts in just a few days.
Yeah, well, she's 5, so
I know.
yeah. We're
Love
trying to
you.
do a summer bucket list too.
We did
So
our bucket list.
yeah. No, I mean we're trying to like
Mm.
go through and pick things to fill up our days. Like, what are we gonna do today? And so
Yours are
it's
probably
like
more
gonna
in
be
depth than
adventure.
mine. So I was out of town a couple days, and one I heard was like going to the park with dad. And like that's an easy one to do. Some of them are
Yeah.
easier than other ones, but I do
Yeah.
love you. Go
I
enjoy
love
your
you.
family. All right. Thank you.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We truly hope this episode has touched your heart.
If someone came to mind while you were listening, please feel free to share this with them.
And if you have any questions or feedback for us, you can reach us at allthingsunbrokenpodcast@gmail.com.
Have an awesome day.